Hey everyone, Leo with Dreaming Tree, and welcome to the assembly video for our Pika Bunny box card. I've got all my pieces here cut out in front of me, as should you. And we wanted to do two cards for this bundle, one that has a religious feel to it, and this one's kind of just more Eastery. And we're going to begin by putting together some layers. This essentially has like two interior layers. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start here with this section. Okay, you'll notice that we have two of these files. They look very similar with one difference. One has a set of little tabs. This is what we're going to use to anchor it to the main structure. Now, typically, I would have you glue this to the front. You can, it doesn't matter. You could technically glue it to the back. The only reason I'm gluing it to the back is because I tried to put some ink on this, but because of the way that it's designed, it's kind of hard to get into some of the sections. I tried to use my brush tool and it just kind of made a mess. So I want to hide it, but I didn't want to recut it and waste paper. So I'm just going to tuck it behind the main layer, which is totally fine. It's not going to change the way the card works or alter it in any way. So if you happen to do it that way as well, that's fine. But typically I would put glue on the back of this and put it on the front layer, but I'm just doing the opposite here. I'm gluing it this way. And we wanted to do two layers on this to reinforce it because the tulips are they're a little heavy, I guess you could say. We didn't want them to end up just kind of sagging and bending and bowing, so we doubled it up, and that's totally fine. Okay, so we have that. And now we're going to have two sets of pink tulips, or just a set, two, and then one orange. The orange one's going to go in the center. We're going to have the pink ones on the left and right. And each flower is made up of three layers. There's a layer that's like this, and then like this, and then like that. They go in that order. Okay, so obviously I spent a little bit of time inking these. And this pink one is a little bit smaller. That one's going to go here. Orange here, larger pink there, and we can just kind of start building. This card's going to go together relatively quick, and it's cool because it folds flat for mailing, and then when your recipient gets it, you can pop it open and display it. And definitely spend some time with the inks on this, especially on the flowers, just to give it that added depth that really just makes cardstock pop. Okay, so when we pop this on there, just make sure that you line up this one and this one here. There's a little bit of the edge here that still shows on that part of the tulip. And then we'll get the middle section glued in place. Just like that. Perfect. There we go. Okay, let's just do the other pink one, just to kind of stick with a single color for now. Go easy on the glue here. You don't need a lot. And actually, the more glue that you add, the heavier it's going to get, which we don't want. We want to try to avoid making it too heavy. There we go. And get the next layer on. This is kind of a cool little card if you want to send it to a child. You can kind of tuck a gift card in there or something in the envelope. That'll make their day. I didn't realize, well, until I had stepkids and then my own kid, just how, I guess, I don't want to paint it in a bad light, but kind of how commercialized Easter is in some ways. And I know that it's kind of like a, well, as far as the candy's concerned, it's almost like another Halloween in between Halloween. I feel like with the amount of sugar that's involved. And we're going to do the orange one here. pop that into place, get the next layer going, and that will pretty much wrap it up for this layer. We have a little bunny layer, and then the main structure, which is relatively simple. If you've never made a box card before and this is your first time, it may seem a little intimidating, but trust me when I say it's relatively easy. And I will walk you through every step in the process to make sure that you succeed. There we go. Okay. All right, so that layer is complete. The tabs are going to fold back like that. Okay, that looks great. Put that off to the side for now. I'm just going to demonstrate something real quick, just so I have it. You're only going to have 2 of these. We cut this using the fast mode with the Cricut, and you can see how it just doesn't line up very well. I don't know if you can see it, but so for intricate stuff like this, do not, I repeat, do not use fast mode on Cricut. I think that is best left for things that are relatively simple shapes. It just does not cut things accurately at all, which is kind of disappointing. But yeah, because as I was prepping for my videos, what I typically do is I'll kind of do a dry run where I'll just place things without gluing them, just to make sure that I'm teaching it correctly. I just noticed that things were not lining up properly. And I asked Diana in our group chat, and I said, you know, can you guys check these files? And I thought to myself, you know, I've been working with Diana for so long. I was like, there's absolutely no way that this is our file and the way it was engineered. And you know, the first thing she wrote back, she said, yeah, well, I used fast mode. I said, okay, well, we're never using fast mode again, that's for sure. Okay, so we've got these 2 layers are glued together. We do have a set of little tulips that are going to go on there. Okay, there's obviously 2. They're both the same color, and they should be the same shape. So we'll just pop that on there. We'll do the larger section first. And then just like we did with the other tulips, we have this little egg-shaped one that's going to go right on top to kind of give it that beautiful depth and dimension. There we go. And we get the other one. Of course, I inked this as well. Just a huge difference in the aesthetic when you add ink. It just looks so much more beautiful, I think. So if you're not at that point yet where you've decided to try inking, give it a go. I mean, what's the worst that'll happen? You ruin a piece of paper? It's not the end of the world. But there we go. That looks nice. Okay, so that's going to be ready for later. And we're just going to kind of go down the horn here and just get some things glued together. Okay, let's take a look at one of the bunny layers here. Okay, so I've got this layer here. And now remember, last time I took this and I glued it behind. I don't have to do that because this layer actually matches up. You can glue it on the front, and that is totally fine. There's a lot going on here as far as all these little details and all these little sections. So if we have to, we may need to grab a scrap piece of paper and potentially do a little bit of painting with some glue to get all these little sections to stick. But I think maybe we'll be okay. We'll give it a shot. Let's get that lined up. Again, doubling this up because of the design. We didn't want the bunny to be flopping around. We wanted to sturdy it up by adding an extra layer. And that worked out nicely. Let's make sure that this folds. These folds now here on this one are actually going to fold forward. So let's make sure that we have enough clearance there for it to do so. And check your connections there. I can see that I have a few little tiny sections that are just not quite together. I'll grab a scrap piece of paper, and you can literally take this scrap and tuck it in between any little sections where maybe it just didn't get a good hold. Okay, and just paint that glue in there. and press it down, and there we go. Okay, so on this layer of the bunny, all we're doing is putting this white piece in place, and then we're putting his little belly in place, and that will be it for this layer. So it's a relatively quick card, and what I've noticed that I've been doing is the first year I make these things, I tend to keep them so that I can display them behind me in the studio. But typically year 2, unless it's like a really special piece, I don't give these away because I like to kind of keep them on display for YouTube. But there's plenty of cards that are given away, trust me. Okay, let's just make sure everything's nice and straight. That looks good. The ears seem to be in place. Let's find his little belly. That's this round piece here. Okay, you can see that there's a set of little score marks to help you with the positioning of this piece. Let's get our glue going. And pop that right in there, just like that. Okay, so this piece is pretty much ready to go. You can put that off to the side for now. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to grab this piece that has little score marks here. Those score marks are to help you with the placement of this piece. This is where you can write your little message. Okay, but find the piece that has little score marks, and what we're going to do is we're going to connect this to the back like so. Okay, so go ahead and apply glue to this tab. I'm going to spread that. I need a little bit more there. It's still kind of dry out. And I notice that it doesn't really help with glue. Okay, make sure it's flush on the bottom, flush right up to the very edge there. Okay, press that into place. You can put that down flat on your surface and push down like so. Okay, there we go. And we'll go to the other side. We can apply our glue to this tab. Spread that out nice and thin. Grab the other end and line that up. Make sure it's flush on the bottom. Here comes our maybe little kitty. And while we're doing this, we want to start to fold it flat. Okay, so you can do it this way or this way. I actually recommend that you do it both ways because this card should be able to fold either way. Okay, so we have a structure now. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab this piece and we're going to slide it in. We're going to match it up with the rest of the leaves here. It's also going to kind of sandwich the tabs in there, keep everything nice and strong. Okay, and a lot going on here, so we're going to have to move quickly. I would try to focus on this piece here as well as the inside, like the center of it, because we can always paint around the edges if we need to. Okay, but it's kind of hard to get into the centers with our little painting method. Okay, so grab it wherever feels most comfortable, slide it in there. I'm just looking at the leaves right now, because if the leaves are lining up accurately, that means that we have it in the correct spot down in the actual structure, and that's good. Press that down. Okay, again, let's make sure that it folds both ways, like so. Perfect. Here we go. And while we're working on this, we have a second piece like this, and that again is to sort of reinforce the front. And this is a pattern paper, which is a little bit thinner than our cardstock. So I also wanted to thicken it up for that purpose. And with this wonderful, random, crazy pattern on here, it's kind of hard to see the glue. So do your best to get it especially out to the perimeter. So a little shadow element of some flowers there. It also makes it kind of hard to see the cutouts too, but do your best. And then let's go ahead and line that up with the front as accurately as we can. Make sure it's flush on the bottom. Then you can take it and fold it. And let's make sure. There we go. Okay, that looks good. Fold it the other way. We're going to do that every single time we add a layer to this. We're going to make sure that it folds correctly, left and right. Okay, there we go. Now while we're here, let's just head over to the back real quick and get rid of this piece. This is going to go right here. Now one thing that I'm going to have to decide here on the fly is which pattern to use for the sides. We have a few of them cut out, and I wanted to kind of see it all together before making that final decision. I think it's going to be the green one, but I'm not convinced completely yet. Okay, so there is the beginning of the box card. We're going to start working on decorating the front of it real quick here. Okay, and to do that, we're going to need, we have some of these blue elements here, and there are specific flowers that go on these blue elements. We're going to start with this one here. This is, don't know how to explain this shape, but that's what it looks like. And I need to figure out, just have to make sure that I'm putting this flower on correctly. I just had it and I lost it because it's not a symmetrical flower. That's the one right there. Okay. So we'll flip that around, just do a few little dots, mostly around the perimeter. That should keep it in place. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so that's going to go right there. Okay, the only other thing that this section needs are the little paws. They're both connected, and there is a little shadow element on this blue piece where we're going to glue them. You can see right there, it's like two little humps. Okay, so that's that. Now if we grab our card base, you can kind of see where that's going to go. Just like that. Okay, so we can flip this whole thing around, apply our glue. And just find where it needs to go, right there. There you go. Pop that into place. You can see the little paws sticking out. And once we fill this in with a little more color, as far as the flowers go, it'll kind of all come together. This little guy here, this blue piece, he's a solo piece for this flower. And we had to do that because of the cutouts in the center of the flower. Otherwise the pattern would show through, which we did not want. And again, I've got to kind of rotate this a few times to find the precise fit. Okay. Throw a couple dots on there, and let's hope that I got that lined up right. That's the one. There we go. Just wanted a little bit of that blue back there. And then you can see that there's a set of markers here to help you with the positioning of that one. That one's going to go right there. And I think that's the only one that has markers. We'll just pop that right in there, like so. Okay, cute. I also have a little purple flower. Now, here's where you may want to grab a little dowel, and what you want to do is pinch the tip of each of the petals and just kind of curl it towards you to give it a little bit of life so it's not so flat. Okay, just curling it up against the dowel. That one is going to go right here, like so. And we're just going to take a little dot of glue in the center. That's all you need. And then just try to match it up with that shadow element from the pattern that's right behind it. Like so. And then later on, once we have everything complete, we can take and kind of flare those out a little bit more. Okay. Let's see, we do have, actually there is another little marker. I've got this orange flower. I'm going to take and curl these petals up a little bit. I don't know how effective that's going to be right now, but it's going to be a lot easier to do this now than it is later. You can also, once you have it curled slightly, you can take and just kind of twirl it between your fingers to accentuate that a little bit more. And then this little fella here, you can see that there's a set of little score marks here. You want to get it roughly right about there and match it up with the little score mark. It doesn't have to be perfect. Roughly about there. Okay. And then we have this larger pink one. You can kind of see the shadows of that. That's purple, not pink, sorry. I don't know my colors today. Get that curled up a little bit. Again, we'll fluff it a little bit more once we have everything together. Now, you don't want to over fluff it, because if you are mailing this and using an envelope, then obviously it's gonna flatten out quite a bit inside the envelope. So we want to be, kind of aware of that happening. Okay, and then this little yellow flower here is going to go right there. You can see the shadow element for that. I'm going to curl each of the little petals. Take it, just kind of twirl it in my fingers here. There we go. And just one dot in the center. Grab that and pop it right into place. Match it up with the shape of the shadow behind it, roughly. There we go. Cute. All right, and we have one last little guy here. And there's this piece. He gets glued on here first, and then we get him installed. Let's rotate this a few times to find its position. There it is, like that. A few little dots around the perimeter on the petals. Should be all you need. That one's going there. Beautiful. And then you can kind of see here that we have some little shadows for that, and that's going to go right there. A lot of little details on here, but it wouldn't be quite the same without them. I think that's the difference between what you see with us and what you see with, other sources of content. And I mean, if that's your jam, that's cool, but we try to make these extra special. And I mean, what is a project without detail, I guess? That's what I'm wondering. Okay, so there it is. So he's basically popping out of a thing of like a planter, I guess. We were going to turn this into like a wooden structure, but all right. So I'm going to make a quick decision here. I can either go with the green, or I also have this turquoise. Yeah, and I think I'm going to go with the turquoise. There's also this one. That's not bad. That could technically work. That might work better than the turquoise. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with this pattern, actually. That's why sometimes you got to get everything put together before you can really decide. Not always, but sometimes. So I'm going with this pattern, this little floral pattern here. And this is not a perfect square. It's more of a rectangle. It's going to be taller than it is wide. So just make sure that you have the orientation correct. Try to maintain an even border on all four sides. Okay. And we'll put the same thing on this side here. This was the last of the three. This is the one that I thought I would not use. And it just so happened that it's the one I went with. So that's interesting. Okay, so all that's left now is to put our little bunny together. Now, I have this shape here. It looks kind of weird, okay? That's because I hand cut it. We changed this. You're gonna have a shape that looks roughly like this, but it's not quite as rigid. It'll be more perfect. And that's gonna go on the back of our bunny like this, and then we're gonna glue this on top, okay? So there's our little bunny. Okay, So let's go ahead and assemble our bunny's head. We're going to take this white layer, glue it to the pink layer, and that's going to give us the pink for the ears, as well as a part of the mouth and his cheeks, or her cheeks. Okay. And then you're going to take that little black oval, and that's going to get glued to the back of these two layers. Pretty much just, you want to center it. There's going to be a little bit of a border around it. We just want it to pop through the little area where the eyes and the mouth are. Okay, so what we can do here, you don't want to put glue on the black piece because you won't know where not to put it. So we'll just kind of do a little circle around the facial features. And then take this and just make sure we cover it completely. Again, yours is going to look more perfect than mine. I cut mine with my hand with scissors. Okay, but there's that. And then this is actually going to go on here. And you can glue this down flat if you want. I think, let me see here. I don't think it needs foam squares, honestly. I think that might be overload. So I'm just going to glue it down flat. It's got enough dimension as it is, especially since it's a separate layer. And well, because of that little black section, it's going to naturally get a little bit of dimension anyway. So let's get that glued into place. Make sure you get it lined up as accurately as you can. There we go. Press that down. Okay. So we have all of our layers. Now, one other thing that we're going to do here is we're going to add some grass in front of this bunny. And you can either glue this down flat like this, or to add some additional dimension, you can take and use some foam squares to kind of, well, add some depth. I'll do one there, one there, one in the center, and then I'm going to grab my little itty bitty ones. I'm going to not put any of these on the actual flowers. We'll kind of maybe bring them up the stem a little bit. Maybe do one there and there for good measure. We'll peel these off. And then it's just a matter of putting these two layers inside of the box card. That's going to be quote unquote challenging if this is your first time. Really not though. And I'll show you exactly how to do it. Relatively simple. Okay, but this we just want to get nice and aligned. I'm kind of using my surface to guide me here, at least initially. There we go. Perfect. And these are still free flowing. All right, so let's grab the actual card base. And here's what's going to happen. These tabs are going to face forward. We're going to apply our glue, and then we're going to push it forward as far as it'll go. And what we want to do is push these tabs up against the side. So go ahead and apply your glue to the tab. Let's make sure that we get coverage on the entire thing, especially towards the back and the front. We're going to do that on both sides. Give it a good coat. Okay, and then flare them in as far as you can. And it kind of helps to angle it a little bit as you slide it in. Make sure that the front end of those tabs is hitting the front of the card. And then I'm going to take a dowel and use that to kind of push the tabs up against the side. And make sure that that's making good contact throughout. And we're going to wait a little bit just to make sure that everything has a good hold. Like that. Give it a second. Push that up to the front as far as it'll go. And now while it's still semi-drying, we want to take and we need to fold it. I want to make sure that it folds in both directions. I'm going to start with one. Take a look, make sure those tabs are still in place. Very gently. Get the other half to fold and press. Okay, and that's good. We do the same thing with the back layer, and those tabs are going to be facing back. Okay, just want to make sure that the edges of these are flush up against the back of this as far as it'll go. I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to use my dowel to kind of press up against this to get it to adhere to the sides. It's been a while since I've done a box card, actually. And I don't mind going a little bit heavier with the glue on this. Okay, make sure that your tulips are facing forward. You can kind of angle these in a little bit so that they don't rub up against the side of the card too much. They're going to a little bit. Okay, make sure those tabs are now up against the very back of the card. This is where you're going to grab your dowel and just kind of push that up against the side. Make sure it's as far back as it'll go. And then I'm going to check my alignment on the bottom as well. That looks good. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and push that up against there. Make sure it's making good contact, at least initially. And then when we fold it, okay, so there's the card. Let's go ahead and very gently, very slowly, give that a fold. And now press where those tabs are. There we go. And there he is. Super cute. Okay. So that's that. We're going to put an envelope together here in just a second. Okay. Now, because of the size of this card, we had to kind of fashion a envelope that's a little bit different than what you're probably used to. Okay, so it's two pieces. I've already got the tabs folded up, and what we're going to do is we're going to start by anchoring the bottom of this. So go ahead and apply your glue to the very bottom. I'll spread that out nice and thin. I don't want it to warp. Okay, and then we'll take this piece, and you want to line that up center and flush with the very bottom, like so. Press that down. Okay. Flip it over. Okay, perfect. I can peel this back, and we're going to apply glue to the two remaining tabs and then just close it up nice and easy. Spread that glue out to the very edge on both sides so everything's nice and clean, and it's just a matter of just closing it up just like that. Make sure it's nice and aligned. Press down on those tabs. There we go. Okay. There we go. All right. So there's that. And then you can see here we have a series of little markers to help you with the placement of these three little flowers. Okay. And just pop that right in there. There's one. And the larger of the two that are left are going to go right here. You can use the markers to help you with the positioning. I guess it really doesn't matter, but you guys seem to appreciate the little markers, and we haven't really gotten any complaints. Some of the stuff is pretty self-explanatory as far as, you know, where to place it, how to place it, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it, as they say. So just kind of try to include these as much as possible. Definitely makes for a more consistent outcome. Okay, so there's your envelope, and again, box card. Okay, so as you can see, I'm not going to put it in, but fits nicely with a little bit of headroom there. And when your recipient gets it, I think they'll just naturally understand that they need to pop it out like that, and there it is. So that is going to do it for our Pika Bunny box card. I hope you guys enjoyed the process. If you did, please take a moment, hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. While you're there, there's a little bell that you can click on that will give you immediate notifications anytime we release a new video. And if you make this or anything from our Easter bundle, I'd love to see it, and so would the rest of our community. So head over to your Facebook, do a search for Dreaming Tree Official. That's where you'll find myself and over 48,000 other dreamers that inspire us daily. So happy Easter, hope you had a blast, and as always, I look forward to crafting with you again. Hey, thanks for crafting along with me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, check out some of our other videos, and please consider hitting that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to visit our site and check out our free SVG section, where you'll find over 140 free SVG files complete with assembly tutorials. I'll see you in the craft room.